So for those that don't know you, I guess if you could just give an introduction, say how you got into Jiu Jitsu, where you are now.
How? It's a good question, yeah. My name is Fabio Holanda, right? I come from Brazil. I'm Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt. I've been black belt since 2001. That's when I received my black belt back in Brazil. I started doing Jiu Jitsu. I would say all my friends were doing Jiu Jitsu, and let's say I used to like to fight, right? So, so it was a good introduction. So that's how I started. My friends, they already started, and then they pushed me into it.
So you wanted to learn how to fight better, and then did something change, like where you fell in love with the sport, or what was the transition?
Actually, the first day, my two best friends, they were already blue belt. One of them, actually, we got the black belt together. And first class I got there, I was like 15, you know, white belt, and he put me in a triangle choke, even before the class starts. So I'm starting to laugh, and he's laughing, I'm like, why are you laughing? You know, I still can punch you from here. You know? So he actually choked me out cold.
Yeah.
And then I wake up, I'm like, what? You know, and like I was very impressed, and that's it. At the same time, I was like, man, I was fighting without knowing those things, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to learn that, so. Yeah, then I stopped the fight, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That was it.
That's it.
Put on the gi,
exactly, you know. But he choked me out, and I was always scared, like, man, if I fight someone that knows those things, you know, it can hurt me.
Get you a little more cautious. Because
of
you
course,
realize there's people out there that can really.
They can be dangerous, yes, 100%, yes.
Great. And so that was in Brazil.
And then I learned Jiu Jitsu, and then I started. Oh no, I'm joking. Yeah.
So that was in Brazil, and
that was in Brazil. Yes.
You went white to black belt in Brazil, or
yes, sir. I went. So that we're talking about 1994.
Yeah.
And then I got my black belt 2001, all in Brazil, and I was actually in my hometown in Natal, up northeast of Brazil. And then when I received my black belt, I moved to Rio. So I stayed from 2001 to 2004 at BTT, full-time training. And then 2004 I came to Montreal, and then I'm here since.
Yeah, and so
in love with the winter.
Yeah, it's a bit of a change. And so you had I mean, I know you now primarily as a coach, but you had a successful competition career. You came third at the World Cup at black belt in 2003, right?
Yes, 2002.
2002.
Yes, so yes. At local level was, state and the Northeast, I was winning a lot of tournaments. And then I moved to Rio, and I always did super good at the Worlds, but always, hit the quarterfinal, never medal at the Worlds until I moved to Rio. And at the World Cup in 2002, I lost in the semifinal to one of, the top fighter that ever exists, that was TDD, right? So it was an honor to fight him.
Yeah.
And that's it. So then after 2002, I started to do focus on MMA and the no-gi.
Yeah.
So I had like 12 fights in my career, and I won 6 and I lost 6. And that's it. So been competing in Jiu-Jitsu. I did the wrestling competition. I did the judo competition.
So all the grappling, right?
I think it's because of my older brother. He always pushed me too much.
Yeah.
So made me competitive, so I really like to compete. Not anymore, now I'm like, I'm a father, so I got weak.
Not the same as when you were 15 now, it's a little...
No, not the same at all, no. Even changed the way I drive.
Could you expand more about the benefit, besides teaching, like why you like having a set curriculum,
So the curriculum, actually, when I started back in Brazil, my coach always used the curriculum. So when I received my black belt, we always did belt tests. We always have that big discussion, even inside of BTT, because we have some other coaches who does not use belt tests and someone does. And I always did. I always did my belt test for blue to purple. In my hometown, we always did. So coming to Canada, when I learned the knowledge with the Victor Zilberman, I started to put together the idea of practicing the technique instead of doing the warm-up with the curriculum. So I just add the curriculum, and I add some warm-ups, and I just actually put on the paper and I put on the wall, so everybody knows where to guide.
And for the people that aren't familiar with it, it's about 60 moves per belt.
Per belt, yes.
Right? And then you have is it 60 moves for no gi, or I think it's maybe 2 days, 120?
No gi. Yeah, we don't have a curriculum for no gi. We have the techniques.
Set of techniques.
Set of techniques and the warm up. Yes, but there's 60 techniques per belt. So white to blue, you gotta know 6 techniques, which include the takedowns and break falls, and blue to purple 6 as well, which break falls not there anymore, but the takedowns still.
But I love that. I love that when I'm working with my students, because the person will come and say, "Oh, what do I need to work on?" And I'll just be like, "Well, look, can you do all the moves on the curriculum? You know, do you know all those?" No, and it's like, "Well, go and work on that," and it gives them a real direction.
100%, yes. Yeah. To know what to learn, and like even like I have a lot of friends, they're higher belts, and they come here to do seminars sometimes, and they see the system and they love it. They're like, "Man, this is, can I take a picture? Because this is amazing. Because it really puts you in direction." Sometimes even at my time, we used to, when I was a student, or even teaching. Sometimes you show a technique one day, and then we never see the technique again.
You know what I mean? And that's the person's not going to retain that.
It's hard. Yes, if you don't practice, 100%.
You have to really like it in that day.
That's it, and then it fits on your game, and it's 1 and and 100. That would be a big difference. And at the same time, when you go close to tournaments, we do the drills, right? So 10 each side, push hard. So you warm up doing the techniques.
So what is your opinion on drilling?
Oh, I really like that. I really like to drill, and I see some people discuss sometimes. Oh, the drill, the sparring. I think everything is important. You know what I mean? I believe in sparring 100%. I don't believe in class without sparring. At the same time, I believe in drill, especially when you go close to tournament. So you don't need to go to specific technique, or just drill and sparring. But I really like it. I really like the idea to get your body move naturally, instead of thinking all the time,
Well, again, that confidence and keeping it simple. Like if you've drilled a move 100%. X many times, you have that confidence.
I was even checking this week. We were doing drills and new white belts. And yesterday we were watching, and was another white belt. We started him like 3 weeks ago, and he was pushing the legs and past the guard. And his friend was like, "Wow!" And I'm like, "Did you see that? Did you see?" Like just like that, naturally.
Because they've just been getting that muscle memory, as you're talking about, getting that confidence techniques. That's cool. So one thing with the curriculum, so I'm really familiar with the BT curriculum. There's no berimbolo on there, for example. So I'm curious about your take on some of these fancier moves. Do you think, do we not need to learn them? Should we learn them, but just defensively? Should you do them if they work for you?
It's funny because I say berimbolo. You know what berimbolo means in Brazil, right?
You've said it before. It's like
it's a scramble, right? So back in the days, it was a big scramble. It was like, wow, what a berimbolo, So that scramble became a technique, and it's all about the style of the coach, you know what I mean? We cannot call a technique bad or good, you know what I mean? It's not my style. Right? Like I said, when I started, because I used to like to fight, and I always dreamed to do MMA, and I base in MMA, you know what I mean? So all the techniques, most of the techniques we do, we can do gi and no gi. Like, my favorite is Kimura. You can do Kimura gi and no gi. I like guillotine too, and you can do gi and no gi, right? So like we have some, the lapel sweep, we can easily do it with the single leg. So I always base my game with the gi and no gi. So, and I always think in a position that, if you go into a fight, in a real fight, in a street fight, or an MMA fight, you know what I mean? I'm not going to get stuck there. So it's based on self-defense, but, for a real fight. But I don't dislike a berimbolo. It's like a lot, I know a lot of people do. I like to counter, so I like to be on the top, so I don't mind. I can't teach because I'm not specialist, you know what I mean? I won't teach you halfway because everyone's doing, you gotta do it. You know what I mean? On my ideas, everyone's doing, we're gonna do something to count, because you try to be like everyone else, and it's always someone who's doing more than you.
You're just gonna be a bad version of somebody else.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
A bad version of someone, because there's always one who does more than you.
And I think there's something to be said for that. Again, that comes back to that confidence of, why am I gonna be a bad version of someone else when my game.
And I always like to be different, right? Yeah. I hate to be normal,
And
so like everyone else doing this, I like, oh, no, let's do something else,
And
like I used to, like when I used to have a beard when nobody had, but now everybody had a beard. So I'm not shaving.
Just keeping it different. And I like that idea of gi, no gi, and MMA. Because again, you're just maximizing your time. You're maximizing everything you do can work for everything. I'm hoping maybe we'll get to see a bit of Kimura stuff later today. So I wonder,
Sure.
You're super well known for your Kimura. So I'm wondering just what attracted you to that technique, like, and why do you like it so much? I think you're definitely one of the best people in the world from that position. So just pick your brain on it. And you talked about it's gi and no gi and it's MMA, but a bit more about it.
Like actually, when I was a purple belt, all right, I used to, since I'm blue belt, the first words was 1996, and I competed there.
That's cool.
And like, for example, I used to come from my hometown to Rio. I used to compete. After the fight, I would sit there and I watch hundreds of matches. Purple belt, everything. When I was a purple belt, I saw a black belt division, which the guy wins like 2-3 matches in a tough division with Kimura. But it's back there was even worse, the cycle. You know what I mean? Kimura was a red like old technique. Oh, nobody used that, you know. We don't call Kimura in Brazil, by the way. Yeah. We call Americana. Yeah. And Kimura was the guy who beat Ilio, yeah. All right? So nobody calls that. No, but respect. You know, so when I see this guy, it's like, man, that's an old technique that nobody's using. That back there, nobody was using. We're talking about 1998. 1998 was already considered old. Yeah, right. So then it came back. I see this guy black belt win. I was like, man, why can I, can I do as well? So I started to practice at the gym, just like, this was. I'll give an example to the guys. I used to get the Kimura, and how I became better. I was like, I'm not letting go, right? I'm going to work from every situation. I got caught counter so many times, which made me counter the counter. So what made me, became super good was I never give up. So I'll get a Kimura, you spin around to arm bar. I'll get a Kimura again, you spin around arm bar, but now you get harder. And then I started to develop defense for your counters. So that's how it became super good, because I was, like I say, ego is the enemy of perfection, right? So.
Well, I really like that, because it comes back to that confidence, because you could have done a Kimura, and then you get arm barred, and you go, well, forget this, it doesn't work. Yeah.
But I saw a black belt win the words with that, so it was already on my head.
So you know it can work, and you know you can get better, so you just keep doing it.
That's it. So I just keep repeating, and so I used to watch. That's it. So Kimura, and then it works with the gi and no gi, like you said, MMA, and always in my head, I have two arms fighting one of your arm, right? Yeah. So. I think I have advantage. Even fight like big guys, Mm-hmm. Back in the time there, when I moved to BTT, when BTT was the best team in the world at the time, MMA, gi, we had like a Bustamante, Maris Perry, the Nogueira brothers, Arona, Paulo Filho. It was a dream team.
It was the place to be.
And you go in Kimura, those guys, it was hardcore. It was hardcore. Yes. And at that time too, we had like 50, 60 black belts on the mat. And each one had a different way to counter, which made me learn, more stuff. Each one had a different way to teach, which made me, learn new stuff. So I believe at the time I was at BTT was a big clinic, but always repeating and trying and never give up, like I said, and for sure you'll be confident.
Yeah.
Once I have the Kimura, I said, no, you're done. That's in my head already. It's like I'm not letting go.
Well, I believe it, but that's one thing that I've taken away a lot from your lessons is like, if you have it, don't let go. And again, I think that just comes down to confidence. You get it and you get scared.
If someone's going to give up, it's going to be you, not me. You know what I mean?
But we see it so much. The person, they go for something, it's not working, it's not good, and they let go.
They switch around.
The person could have been about to tap, the person could have been about to give up, but you lose that confidence.
That's it. That's it. And think about it, right? Some people, when you get the Kimura, they don't even try to escape. They try to block, to resist. So they're hoping that you're going to give up.
Yeah.
So they're resistant, like, he's going to get tired and he's going to give up. And that's when you don't. My favorite submission, is the Kimura. And my favorite spot to beat as well is half guard top. So I'm going to show you some techniques that we combine both, that I really like to be on the half guard and work on the Kimura from there as well, which is a safe position to me, right? So let's go for the first one. We got on a half guard. Right, so to understand how I get to the Kimura, so when someone gets on the bottom and half guard, he always wants to get the underhook. So for me, the best way to do would be underhook and cross face, right? Which is a hard thing to do because Michael is already in an angle. So for him to win the battle of the pommel here, it's easier for him to pommel in than it is for me to go around, all right? So I actually got tired to fight this battle here, and then I started to work with his underhook, right? So for example, he got the underhook, and at the same time he stops my cross face, so I started to work over the head. So at the time I got in a half guard, I let him get the underhook, right? And when he gets the underhook, I go over, right? I go over his arm. I don't fight for the cross face, and what you have to understand is where I'm going to place my armpit. Because if I place my armpit too high, he still has a very strong underhook. So when I go with my armpit, I go very close to his elbow. So what I do is first I go over his elbow, over his shoulder, close to his elbow, and then I push with my weight. So when he goes down, I switch to the side, but you see my arm, it's in between his elbow and his shoulder. If I come too high, he will be strong here. So I get super close here, right? So all my weight's on his arm. One way to, like sometimes they hide, they worry about the Kimura. One way that I do to get the Kimura, I start to push the knee. That's everybody's natural reaction to try to pull my arm. So I just swim under and then I get the Kimura, right? First things first, when I make a grip, I place on the mat because I want him far away from his gi and pants, so I keep on the mat, right? So he gets weaker and it's harder for him to bring his arm back. At the same time, with my foot inside, I start to bring close to his butt, right? So I start to move his arm slowly up, his entire arm, all right? At the same time, I move forward and I want to get my knee up. All right, so I go on the Kimura, I remove my leg. Once I remove my leg, I sprawl over his shoulder here. So my whole weight is on his shoulder, then I move his arm up, keep his hand on the mat, and I just turn to finish the Kimura. One more time. So he gets the underhook, I go over the arm, push it down, get on my side. Push the knee, grab the Kimura, bring to the floor, move up. The same time I move my body up, escape my leg, sprawl over his shoulder, keep his hand on the mat, and finish the Kimura. All right, guys, so let's keep going here on the sequence, all right? On the first one, I work on the Kimura, and then I work on the pass to finish from the side. Right? But the second option now, I'm going to work the same way to get the Kimura, but now with the option that I cannot escape my leg. So he was holding tight the half guard and I could not escape. So how I finish from there, right? So they start the same way. I let him get the underhook, I go over, right? So I always bring my armpit in between his shoulder and his elbow, so I'll be very heavy on his arm. So I go over, once I go over, I push him flat. Once I push him flat, I sit on my side, right? So the same way, I always go push, I grab the Kimura. Always, guys, the second grip is as much important as the first one, right? So I really get a tight grip and I keep his arm down. But now he's tight there, so I cannot escape my leg, right? Remember, my ribs is on his stomach here to keep weight on him, right? His hand is on the mat. So what I want to do now is start to bring his entire arm towards his head. So what I do is this, right? So then I move my body over his chest as well, and I keep moving his entire arm. I start to go and sprawl all my weight on his chest here. I'm flat, now I'm facing him. and then I can easily just finish the Kimura from there. Right? Just turn a bit of the angle just to get my body work. So same thing again, go over, push him down, I'm on my side, right? Work on the Kimura, push it down. So now I start to move up, right? Move his arm up. Once when I go close to finish, I sprawl on him, right? So keep his hand up and I just get the Kimura inside the half guard. So I really have to pin his shoulders down so it'll be easier to just get the Kimura. Let's keep on the sequence here. The first one, we had the Kimura, pass the guard, finish from the side. Second one, we could not pass, we finished the Kimura inside the half guard, right? The third one, which is a very common position, that when I go for the Kimura inside the half guard and the opponent try to overpower his arm out, right? That's when I go to a straight arm bar, all right? How? Let's go. We start the same way, all right? Because I want to set up the Kimura. Don't forget, we're doing a sequence here. So I go over, push him down, right? Get on my side, start to push, grab the Kimura. Bring it down, right? So I want to be on top of him again, but when I get on that position, a lot of people try to just overpower your arm to the other side, Michael. Escape. That's one way some people get desperate and try to escape here. So what I do when I get here, I bring it super high, my weight's on his chest. When he starts to do it, I let him go until his thumb is up. Once his thumb is up, I make a grip again. And the only thing I need to do is bring his wrist to the mat. All right, so I'm just gonna bring, he's already tapping. I'm bringing, because the other arm is already under his elbow. All right, so let's do one more time. Same start, boom, go over, push him down. Start to push just to get the Kimura. Pin his wrist on the mat, right? So I start to move his arm up. At the same time, I start to move myself up as well. I want to be around his chest there. So when he starts to overpower, I lose it up a bit until his thumb is up, and then I hold it. He's already tapping, but if he's not tapping, what I want is just bring his hand to the mat. We got the straight arm bar. All right, guys, so let's keep going the sequence here from the Kimura half guard top. Another option that I really like to do is the wrist lock from here. Because sometimes they start to hide the arm to don't get the Kimura, and it always ended up with the wrist lock. Or vice versa. When I go to the wrist lock, they try to escape the wrist lock, they give me back the Kimura, right? So how I do this? So same beginning, right? He gets the underhook, I go over, and then I start to work here, but now his leg is tight, it's not getting into my bait here, right? So what I do is I come over with my right hand and I go over his bicep. So what I want is put my palm down on his bicep. I want to bring his arm to the ground. Once I bring his arm to the ground, my left hand comes and grab his elbow. Once I grab his elbow, I let it go the bicep to grab my own arm, right? So I'm already in a position here because his elbow is stuck on the mat. I start to move my body forward, right? So and then I get his wrist lock right here under my armpit. So let's go again. So we start again. He gets the underhook. I go over, push him down, right? So he's not giving to me. So I want to go under his arm, go to his bicep, push it down, grab his elbow, grab my own arm. His wrist already stuck under my armpit. So I'm just going to move my body forward and I get the tap. What I was mentioned before is to him to escape this, he has to stretch his arm under my arm, all right? That's what he does, so I can't get the wrist lock. That's when I just go back and back to square one. He gives me the Kimura back and I bring it up, or I get it here, or I pass the guard. So I always play on those 4 options, which works super good. The Kimura to pass first, the Kimura to finish from there, the straight arm bar, and the wrist lock.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you don't know that yet?
Awesome.
No? I'm a guillotine man now.
You're
the one who's suffering.
Yeah. I'm okay.
To my new style, you don't know me anymore.
Chin picks. Chin picks, wrist locks.
I had the Kimura before, but I said I killed time.
You were nice.
Yeah, because I didn't want to get upset. So I'm not just gonna keep all the 30 seconds standing.
Thank you, Fabio.
Oh,
good job. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome.
Gumby, I forgot to tell Michael that I'm 230 on the rise, you know?
So obviously the elbow block feels great to the Kimura. A lot of good chin picking.
It's a new shit.
Yeah.
I even hurt my arm doing so many.
Hey, you good?
I was trying to avoid it too, but I said nah. At one point it was hurting. I'm like, nah, I have to give it.
Yeah.
No, that's the chin pick is new, yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. And the gi too, you pass it if I...
With the gi it's even better because
then wiggle a bit, you pass it.
Then it becomes guillotine plus rotator choke and axe choke.
And I can't spin out.
Yeah, because you spin around. Because if you got a normal guillotine and you jump over, you go into the loop choke.
Yeah.
So if you try to go to your back, you got the axe choke, so it's like a triple attack. Because when I shoot, you do this, right? Boom.
Yeah.
So I really fit here and I go here. Yeah. But I think I go with my back, so that's what you did.
That's what I did.
So what I want to do is like, it's all about your head, right? So I want to push with my stomach.
That's what I felt, yeah.
Your stomach stopped my head from... Losing that pressure on the back of my head, right?
That's it, because you have to think like all the guillotines they do, the chin picks.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in triangle. Why you pull the head?
Yeah.
Because you can't talk right now like this.
It compresses everything.
That's it. So, same thing when you do an anaconda, people think, oh, I have to grab the leg. No. You have to push the head down. The guillotine, when I get, it's push your head down, not rip your head out of your neck. You know what I mean? So I'm always like, so that position too, I want to put the stomach and then.
Yeah, that was great. I thought it was really good. It was fun feeling just the staying on top and the patience, not because a couple times I just try to bump you just to see if you play guard and you just stay on top, you know.
I won't play guard with that body.
Just stay on.
I'll be like feel like a turtle on the board.
But that's that patience too, right? Like just staying on top, even if it means, you know, going back to half guard or you know, yeah. So
and even when you try to roll, I was trying to stay behind so you will not.
I just roll, but I just roll. You don't move with me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I didn't want it to do is roll with you.
Yeah.
So you ended up on top. So I got like far away from you a bit. So you know what I mean. I could not turn around.
Yeah. Super
good
fun.
Show, Mike. Good show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Oh, it's making me work, so it's good.
Yeah. Making me work. I was tired. Thanks, Fabio.